Begin if you're interested. Okay, my name's Ken. I'm one of the many tour guides we have here today. Mr. Red and White will take you out. Bob will take you out and show you the plane. I'll give you a little bit of information on this airplane. Anybody know anything about a Mars Waterbomber? Come on, questions? Anybody? No? You know what color it is?
Red.
Oh, there you go. You know something. Right? It's red and white. It was owned by Colson. Before that, it was owned by a consortium of forestry companies. In 1958, way back then, there was a big fire in British Columbia, on the island, and they couldn't put it out very effectively. So a consortium of forestry companies got together and heard about these transport planes that were built by the Navy that had been sold to a scrap dealer. So they decided to go down and see if they could convert them. So they went down and talked to the scrap dealer, and the scrap dealer said, "I'm just about to break them up. How much do you want to pay me for them?" Guess how much they paid for them? Any ideas? $2,500 a piece, according to the story. But it also came with a warehouse full of spare parts. So all of this was shipped up here, and the planes themselves were converted to water bombers in Victoria. There were 4 of them. So there's only 2 left. One of them crashed, killed the crew fighting a fire, and another one was flipped on its back and broken during a typhoon. That hit here, Typhoon Frida. So there were 2 left. So these planes are about as big as a 747. And a lot of people ask, why aren't they fighting fires now?
I don't want to go.
They're 80 years old. And the planes and the kinds of fires that we're getting now are not, it's people on the ground that put the fires out. The planes are accessories to control the spread of the fire. But originally these planes were designed to extinguish a fire. Just drop 30 tons of water on it and put it out. The fires now are so large that won't occur. So when you go out there, ask Bob lots of questions about how this plane collects its water and how it fights the fire. You can thank climate change and BC's forest management practices in the past that let every little fire go out. And so there's a lot of buildup on the forest floor, and that has led to a lot of those huge, large fires and climate change. So Bob, you want to take them?
Sure.
Do I
Bob,
leave the stroller here or outside?
You can bring it out.
you can leave it here. Sure.
Or take it out, whatever you
Yeah. I'm Bob. I'll be your tour guide. How about if we just go outside and look at it?
There you go.
I did.
Hold it right there. See old round spot? That's where it looks. Oh wow! Look at that. So just a couple of things to point out when you can see the whole aircraft like this. I'll emphasize this again, but it is a flying boat. So when it was designed by the U.S. Navy, it can only take off and land from water. Back when it was designed in the late 30s, there weren't a lot of airports. And so the typical way when they were doing long cross water trips was with planes that landed and took off. Hi there. A couple things to note is the shape of the hull, particularly the notch that you see in there. We'll talk more about that when we talk about putting water in and out. And you'll notice the big steel cables and the concrete blocks that are anchoring this aircraft. This is the only aircraft museum we have to anchor to the ground. That's because it wants to do a Caroline, which was the one that blew away in 1962, because the wings are so big. So the wings are 200 feet. We could park a Lancaster bomber under one wing. You won't appreciate the size of them till we go inside, but the wings are so big inside that you can walk out inside all the way out to the sponson, and you can access the engines from inside the wing. So it is massive. Remember, everything you're going to see is 80 years old, except the water system was put in 1961. So it's an old airplane designed by somebody with a slide rule and a piece of paper, and it was flying till last year. So let's come up and we'll talk about how to put water in and out. Are only put on the plane when it's sitting in the water, and they're used to pull it out to do maintenance. So they're not attached to the plane permanently, and it can't take off or land on these wheels. They just drop in the water, there's buoyancy tank, they hook it up to the top and swing it underneath, and there you go. So when it's time to pick up water, this airplane skims along the surface of the lake. Normally a lake, could be the ocean as long as it's very calm, and it takes 1.5 miles to pick up water. And in that 1.5 miles it loads 30 tons of water, 25 seconds. So it's loading a ton a second into the tank. So what it has here are 2 scoops, and there's one on each side, and they extend down below the level of the hull. And the force of the aircraft moving forward, it's doing 70 knots, forces the water in the tube and up into the tank, which is up here. You'll see the tank when we go inside, and you'll get a better view of the scoops. As they're skimming, the pilots turn control over to the 2 flight engineers, and they actually control the power going to the engines. So in that 25 seconds, we load 30 tons of water, and takes all the power of these 4 engines to lift this off. You'll notice when we go inside that this is a really big airplane carrying a fairly small tank, but this is weight versus volume, and water is very heavy. When it's time to drop, there's 22 doors all along the bottom, and they're at the bottom of the water tank. So there's 11 on each side, and when the pilot's ready to drop, he just opens the doors hydraulically, and it takes 11 seconds to drop the 30 tons. Any questions? Okay, let's go on board. Where are you folks from?
I'm from here.
Oh, that's good.
First time we've ever been here.
You don't have to apologize. Oh, but you should apologize for the first time you visit.
That's true.
No, there's a lot of people who've never been here.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So a couple things Ken didn't tell you. First of all, there's only 2 Mars left. There's this one, and there's one at an aviation museum in Arizona. But they don't let people on board their aircraft, so you're getting the bonus. This is called the aft cargo compartment. And just as you look at the construction of the aircraft, you'll notice how it's built. It's more of a boat than an airplane. And as you go through the plane, if you look at the controls on the doors and that, it's very nautical. There's nothing particularly fancy about this or noteworthy about this compartment. So we'll step forward into the main cargo compartment where the water tank is. So feel free to have a look. You can see down inside, you can see how big the tank is, and the doors, you can see the doors that I talked about. Now, this is the tank. You can see how far forward it goes, and when we go up to the nose of the plane, you get a better view of the tank. You see how wide it is? The water comes up to the bottom of to the level of the floor. And these two greeny yellow things here are the tops of the scoops. So when the water is forced up, it just pours out the front and into the tank. On each wall, there are spare scoops mounted just to show you what they look like. And you'll notice the actual scoops are not very big. They're only 7 inches. And that's to prevent picking up slow swimmers when they're skimming the water, filling the tank. I'm taking pictures. So there are two kinds of additives that can go into this tank. Vertical tank holds gel. The big plastic tanks hold foam. And they both work to put the fire out better than just water. Ken mentioned about fighting fires. This is a water bomber. So it drops its water right on top of the fire. If you look at some of the other aircraft, the aerial tankers, they actually drop a mixture of water and chemicals in front of the fire to stop it from moving forward. So there are different techniques, but they would be used together on the same fire. If you use your imagination and take all of this out of here, this was the main cargo compartment in here. And you'll see the big doors on either side. That was used to load freight. They were designed to be big enough to load a Jeep through. And in fact, you could put 7 Jeeps nose to tail in this compartment before they put the water tank in. Any questions? Okay, we'll go upstairs. And there aren't any planes that you can go upstairs in. Stairs are quite steep, so be careful and watch your little guys.
Hold tight onto that. Hold my hand. Are you a film major today? I'm gonna take my phone while we go up the stairs.
I can't go upstairs.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
It's too scary.
You're being very brave.
It's too scary.
I think you're doing a great job.
Oh wow, what's this?
Well, there actually used to be, before it was converted to water bomber, there were bunks in the cockpit, there was a galley, there were bathrooms, all that was torn out when it was converted to a water bomber. So this is called the upper cargo compartment, although they didn't carry a lot of cargo in here because there's no big doors. So what this was usually used for was passengers. And you'll see a picture here. This shows typical military seating, just canvas seats along the side. But I've also got a picture of this with airline seats in it. During the Korean War, it was converted to carry stretchers, carried casualties back from Hawaii to the mainland. These are the controls for the rudder and the elevators, and they are metal tubes that stretch all the way from the cockpit to the tail, and they work on a push-pull system. So again, the amazing thing is this is 80 years old. It's a 1939 design, and it flew up until last year. So the people who made this did a good job. So I'm going to take you up into the little compartment up front here, but I can only take 3 or 4 at a time. So I'll let you organize yourselves and join me up here and watch your heads because this is designed for midgets. Especially come over here.
What? Yeah, we'll let smelly people go first. Do you want to look out the window?
Just have a look down the portholes there. You can see right inside the wings.
Oh yeah, wow, these wings are massive.
Now you're looking at the trailing edge, which is the small part. When you look forward and you look inside, that's the main wing. And it's so big that you can stand up and walk all the way down to the end.
Oh yeah, wow.
And you can access the engines from inside the aircraft.
Wow,
Neat.
massive. And then he's all the way down to the cockpit over there. Wow. Oh, that's somebody else.
Nice.
Massive.
It's tight.
Yeah, it is.
Here, come on in. We have room for a couple more.
Down the wing. Wow.
But just have a look through that porthole. You get a much better idea for how massive the wing structure is.
Wow. Crazy.
And I don't know of any other aircraft that you can go inside the wing, which is where we are now.
Oh,
Yeah, let's not touch the engine.
What's my engine?
Yeah, you want to see it higher?
I know, I want to look this. No.
Can't go back there.
Yes, yeah. And no, give
Okay, take a picture.
me. Give me help.
Oh no.
Taking pictures. Putting a video on.
Other airplane.
So what do you think? Pretty cool, eh?
Yeah,
Neat.
massive.
Okay, we'll head downstairs. Just be very cautious. It's a steep stairs, but there's lots of handholds. And then I'll take you up to the nose of the plane. There is a nose on the plane. We're going to go inside it. The largest flying boat to ever go into operations. There have been bigger ones built, but they never went into operation. They might have flown once and then they were parked. So this is the cargo door. It just gives you an idea of how big it was. This half would have opened as well, except now it's been fixed shut to have the air vent for the water tank. But again, just shows you how massive it is. Another view of the beaching gear here, it just gives you an idea of the size. Tires are not original, they're tractor tires. As mentioned, obviously, tires don't last even years. You can't go to Cal Tire and ask for tires to fit on this plane, they're out of stock. So we're going to go into the nose. Just watch your heads because the hatch is quite small. So this is looking down the main cargo compartment from a different angle. This is the top of the water tank, so the water's below the floor level. Just gives you an idea of the size. So this is a huge aircraft carrying a small water tank. But the issue is the weight. Okay, that water weighs 30 tons. And it takes all four of those engines, 10,000 horsepower, to lift that off the water. It gives you another, some more of the foam tanks. But we'll just look for it because Ryan's busy working here. If you look all the way forward, the front compartment is the anchor compartment. So there's an anchor and a winch just like on a boat. And the cockpit is right above us. You go up these stairways into the cockpit. It's not open to the public right now, but there you go. Any questions?
We're good. All right.
So we'll go down this way. Watch your step.
Air shows here.
I think they're expensive.
I imagine.
And the other thing, where are you from?
From here.
Where define here?
But we live over there.
Oh, okay. People who live in Sydney and North Sand complain about everything. So people who
so you were waiting to see.
Yeah, I want to know where you live. Yeah, I just live over in Central Sand, and people still complain.
Why would you buy a house?
We had 3 F-18s here on Saturday doing something with the Navy, and there was a complaint in the paper that it was terrible, it was horrible. That's the sound of That's right. And they're just cool. So there's two things we can do. We can go back in the hangar, or we can go along the air park. I can show you some of the other aircraft.
Yes.
Sounds
You want
good.
to see the other aircraft?
Yeah, let's do it.
No, thank you. Are you all done?
Hey Larry, how would you like to give this group a tour of the air park? That's what I'm here for. No, I'll go have my lunch, okay? Yeah. I'm going to turn you over to Larry, who is far more experienced than I am, and enjoy the rest of your tour, folks.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, John is waiting for, there's only 2 people for the 12 of them. Hello.
Hello.
How are you folks doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good.
Were you awed by the Mars?
Yeah.
Very cool.
This airplane here, hi, my name's Larry, was a firefighting aircraft also. It was donated by Conair. Conair is a big company out of Abbotsford, similar to Cruise. They're firefighting companies. They have aircraft all over the world. And this one, the aircraft is a Convair 580. which was a city-to-city airliner from the 1950s. And Conair converted them. And it was retired after the fire season of 2022. So it was fighting forest fires 3 years ago.
Why is the bottom like
Well, that's for the fire retardant. That's where you can put water or normally fire retardants in there.
You say the weirdest propellers ever.
Well, they're
square
a
rod.
reversible pitch.
Oh, okay.
These kind of props, they can actually turn the blades and they can back up down an runway.
Oh,
They
okay.
can reverse the aircraft. But this tank, this belly, it holds 7,000 liters. And the Mars holds 27. And the fire retardant, they put that on the perimeter to stop it from spreading. And the water goes right on.
Yeah.
So they work in tandem. And these, Conair had 3 of these aircraft working out of Benton.
How old is it? How old is it?
It's 65 years old now. And they could have kept it flying, but they had, to keep it flying, they would have had to have replaced the wings. Every component of an airplane has a time limit, and it goes by hours full. And these wings are original, and they would have had to have been replaced. And it just didn't make sense. So they retired the aircraft, and now they're using dashings with the big belly underneath it.
really?
Yeah. Oh.
Newer aircraft,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they can actually carry a little more.
Huh.
Yeah.
But the pilot who flew this aircraft here, Graham Wilson, he retired with the airplane.
Oh,
2.5 years ago.
like how did they end up here?
Well,
Like,
Conair, it was flown here.
So they're like recognizing this
Yeah.
museum as a good museum.
Yeah, Conair's been very good to the
Oh,
museum. This
yeah.
aircraft came from Conair, and it's a firefighting aircraft. They used them in the 70s and 80s. And it originally was an attack bomber.
The like the big one, and they said about there was like always a bird dog plane or something like that. Do you have that?
We don't have a bird dog.
So what was it?
Well, it was stuff.
Yeah.
It was direct. These bigger aircraft were working in tandem.
Makes sense.
This was Air Force, American Air Force during World War II. A lot of the early firefighting aircraft were retired Air Force aircraft. And this was an attack bomber. And it had 8 50 caliber machine guns in its nose. 8, yeah. And the American Air Force flew them World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
How many crew did they have?
It depended on the mission. I think for firefighting only 2.
Yeah.
But in the Air Force it would depend. You know, no more than 4 or 5. But very fast, very maneuverable. It was a ground attack airplane, so it was perfect for fighting forest fires.
Yeah.
But it arrived here at the museum, oh boy, 25, 30 years ago. And this one with the folding wings flew off of aircraft carrier. It's a Grumman tracker, and it was a submarine hunter. It has sonar and radar and magnetic anomaly detector.
Easy looking plane.
Yeah. They squared it up.
Yeah, not the reversible.
So this,
Yes.
the last,
Yeah, you know what?
the last
Grumman is the American company, but this one was built by de Havilland, Canada. They built 99 for the Canadian Navy. And they had to build them a little smaller because the Canadian aircraft carrier was smaller. And on the top wing there, that plexiglass, that's a spotlight.
Sorry, what is it?
A spotlight.
Oh, a spotlight. Oh.
And those pylons on the wings are for rockets.
Oh, okay. They would be hanging down.
Yeah. They, Conair converted these to firefighting also.
Oh.
They fixed the wings permanently down.
Yeah.
And they put turbine engines on. And Cal Fire in California is still flying these for firefighting. Well, yeah, take a look at that. Yeah, the engineering involved is quite, and it's all hydraulic.
Like a lock.
Yeah, those triangular pieces of steel fit in the circumference, and then they're pinned.
Yeah, then that's pretty amazing.
And it's all hydraulically controlled.
Good machining.
Yeah, and that's
A lot of
all
good machining.
heavy steel. And on the back here, the rear of the engine nacelle, this is where the submarine hunting part of it comes in. They'd have sono buoys in here, which would drop. No, they're for detection. They're called sono buoys.
Okay.
And they are ejected out, little parachute, they land in the water and they ping.
Yeah.
You know, searching, if it hits something, it pings back.
Yeah.
And it had radar. This is nothing new. This is a radar dome here that lowers down in flight.
Yeah.
And then at the rear,
Amazing.
yeah, a lot of science.
Yeah.
This this boom extends out about 8 feet.
Oh, okay.
And it's a magnetic anomaly detector.
It's like
And
the weather planes.
Yeah, well, the science is the Earth has a magnetic field.
Yeah.
And a submarine under the water interrupts that magnetic field. And this can detect it.
And then they were just for looking for,
No,
or they
it's
had
got a
bombs
bomb
too.
bay,
They had
and it would
bombs.
carry a soning torpedo. And the sonar torpedoes lock in on a submarine.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
science involved. And this is an old Sikorsky helicopter, which was used by the Navy also.
Again, folding up.
Yeah, the blades fold.
Wow.
Most helicopters do
One
that.
on each side and one on top.
Yeah, it's got three blades.
Yeah.
Some of the bigger helicopters that are on ships, the tail actually folds up too. This one's from the 1950s. It's pretty old. It's not in the best shape.
Still, somebody had to figure out how to do it.
Well, Sikorsky, he was Russian, but he fled Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution, and he came to the U.S. and started his own company. And they're still in business today, Sikorsky.
Oh, yeah.
And the pilot sat up here.
It was so noisy.
Oh, yes, yes.
I bet.
The engine is right here, a big old radial engine.
I bet if you guys went deaf after a few years of driving.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Now, did you folks, did you grow up in BC?
No. Here, whatever.
No, I was going to say this silver airplane was a BC government plane.
Oh.
And there's a story to it
Mr.
about.
Gallardi flew
Yes,
around?
yeah, this is one of the famous Gallardi.
Oh, yeah?
And what it is, it looks like a fairly modern airplane, but it started life as a Beach 18, which is this
Okay,
little
yeah.
guy here. And that was the Second World War light transport. And they were, after World War II, aircraft were pretty cheap. And the BC government had,
yeah.
you know, a fleet of these.
Yeah.
But Phil Gallardi wanted a new plane.
Yeah.
And they told him, there's no money in the budget. Make do with what you have.
Yeah.
So he went, okay, I'll make do. So he took one of these and he modernized it.
Oh.
And there's a kit. There's an engineered kit. A West Wind 4. And it's got turbine engines and a tricycle landing gear and single tail. And the money for the conversion came out of the snow removal budget. Because he was the Minister of Highways.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah, he was quite a guy.
Yeah, so you know him. When I, people our generation remember Phil Gallardi.
Yeah. Flying
And it
Phil.
probably would have
Had
been.
a bunch of seats.
Yeah, it was, you know, you could carry, just to say how many passengers, probably half a dozen passengers. And he put the bigger windows in it. Yeah, top speed was 300 miles per hour, so it was pretty peppy too.
Yeah, it's kind of a little rusty and stuff, but it's probably a pretty fast flight.
Yeah. And you know why they called him Flying Phil? Because he got so many speeding tickets. And somebody said he wasn't speeding, he was flying. And that's where the nickname came from. He was colorful. And at that time, in the 50s and 60s, the highways were expanding.
Oh, for sure.
And he wanted a plane that he could fly places quickly and inspect the
Fly
highway.
into Castledore.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks for the tour. That was great.
Good. Are you a pilot?
No.
No? You're just an airplane
History.
lover. Oh,
As I call myself.
yeah. It's a pretty awesome place.
It's a really awesome place. It's a good place to come to.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of stuff going on all over. Yeah, I'm trying. What does it say?
What does it say?
I've never seen that one.
Alaska, there.
No,
Go USA.
I don't know what it is.
Is it the Alaska thing on the tail?
No,
Oh,
I
on the
don't.
front. It says Alaska.
Does it?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, it is on
You're
the
right,
tail.
it does.
Okay, yeah.
Go Cat.
Huh. I've never seen that one there.
But it's nice that this plane, you know, like when the Western plane went by, they can see this plane.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome that they. Hello.
So this is from the Mars. Yeah. Can you tell me about this? 35 horsepower, right cyclone 3350. Okay. With 18 cylinders. Four powered the Mars bomber. So you